Hi, y'all. It is time for us to take a look at this final part of our journey together. So far, you have demonstrated expository critical thinking and logical processes by saving animals and by proving a point, current events, finding fallacies, finding logical processes, and so forth. And so I thought now we have a requirement by the district for a final exam for you to demonstrate your understanding of these processes. And I'm thinking one of the things that I can do is show you how to use those processes in creative narrative writing. And let's remind ourselves real quick what those elements are. And there it is right there. Claim, support, counter argument or refutation, summary of facts, logic, and a thesis. So now you look at those kind of dry words, you think, oh my goodness, how does that apply to creative writing, to narrative storytelling? Well, I'm going to show you how. Again, I want you to just look at the pretty picture and listen to me while I talk to you a little bit about the logical side of creative writing. Every story takes place in a world. There's a world of a story. Remember when you wrote about the endangered species and they all lived somewhere? They lived in a continent and you showed on a map where those animals lived? Same thing with a narrative story. There is a context for the story, a world that makes sense, a world where there are rules and there are leaders and there are elements that all work together to create a logical working environment. Star Wars, there's a world that is explained and that has rules in Star Wars. Even the Matrix, which I still don't really understand, but the Matrix is a world with rules and consequences. Now, in this world of the story, something happens, and that is the claim. You, the writer of this narrative piece of fiction, claim that these events took place. Now, that's either going to be everything was going great until something happened, or nothing was going great until something happened. Remember, Batman, everything in the world is going wrong until Batman comes on the scene. Other stories you can think of where everything was going perfectly fine until something happened. Now, the support for that all are the creative elements that take place in that world of that story, aren't they? So I claim that something happened, and then I create the details about how and when and where and why that all happened. And that's called support, the support for the narrative. And in that story, something is going to mess everything up. It may be a Klingon that comes to attack. It may be the Penguin who comes to challenge Batman. Something is going to happen that's going to mess up the world of the story for that protagonist, the hero of the story. And all of those elements are the counter argument or refutation. Something happens to refute the world of the story, this protagonist's place in the world, and so forth. Now, as the story progresses and it moves towards its natural conclusion, there's a summary of all of those facts. All of those work together, those elements work together in that world of the story to create a summary of facts that contribute to the narrative, to the story. And that all takes place in a logical manner. Once the world is created and it has the rules, everything has to move within that logic. It has to make sense. And at the conclusion of the story, the protagonist, the hero of the story, learns some kind of lesson. All that glitters is not gold. Every good boy deserves favor. Crime doesn't pay. Don't judge a book by its cover. Some sort of lesson that character learns throughout the journey. Of course, we know in The Wizard of Oz, Dorothy learns there's no place like home in her quest to get away from home, to run away, to find adventure. And that lesson that is learned is called the thesis. So all of those elements that we've been studying all semester in expository writing, that is, writing based on facts, bias, documentaries, prove my point, argument essays, the bias to save an animal, and so forth. All of those elements are present in fiction. And there they are, right there. So for the essay that is to come, that is going to complete our journey, I'm going to have you create a narrative of your own. Now, I know you're saying, oh my goodness, how am I going to do that? I don't know how to write all those elements into a piece of fiction. Well, here's the good news, and I'm going to show you. When these modules open for the final creative narrative essay, I'm going to take you step by step through the process. It's just like building a log cabin with Lincoln logs. I'm going to take you through it one step at a time. Be sure when the module opens that you study everything in order. Some of these are short, some of them are a little video tutorial, but all of it takes you through the step-by-step process of writing a narrative essay of your own. Now, one of the things you're going to see when the module opens is you're going to see a set of images for you to pick from. And you're going to pick one of those images and you're going to copy it. You're going to go to the discussion board. And remember, to find the discussion board, we go back up here to the discussion boards and we find the discussion for the final exam topic. Of course, the due date's going to change, but you're going to start it right away as soon as that module opens. And you're going to discuss your essay, and you're going to discuss the ideas that you have going forward for how you're going to make that into a crime mystery of some sort. And again, everything takes you through step-by-step process. I have the whole course designed logically so that you can start with one and go all the way through. Now, in different courses, the module numbers change, and the modules numbers change depending on how many weeks there are in a semester. You know, here at Modesto, we have semesters that are shorter, some are longer, and so the actual module numbers may change, but the information remains the same. And however it's laid out logically, you're going to start with the first one and go all the way through methodically. And I'm going to take you through the process. I actually do it myself. So I'm going to take one of those images myself and I'm going to walk through the process with you of how I would do that. So you're off on the final journey. This is going to be a masterpiece. Folks, I'm telling you, in the past I have seen some short stories that I can't believe that you all are able to write. But it does require taking a nice deep breath and planning the time needed to study each section of this assignment. And that's going to show you how logic works in everything you write. It's going to take you all the way through the next journey in your education path, in your career. No matter where you go, you will find these logical processes beneficial. That concludes this welcome lecture on using critical thinking logical processes for narrative fiction writing. You're going to enjoy this, I promise.